The Upsurge Minor League Quarterfinals is upon us, and what a better time to tune in because it is a Milky Fox time. That's right, me, Milky Cyril, joined by the Prophet Rebel Fox in the casting booth. How you doing, Rebel?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. Michigan State University D team against Drury University. What do you think we can expect out of this one tonight?
I know both these teams are coming in with relatively even MMRs across both, and we have first versus a second seed coming into this one. I think MSU coming in as that first seed has at least a little bit of advantage, but I don't expect a massively dominant set of games coming out here. I do expect quite a bit of competition between these two.
Yeah, it should be very evenly matched up. And something that I constantly find myself saying every time we hype up a game is the fact that we are in preseason. And it just never gets old for me seeing, the new Drakes, the changes to the ref. Everything just feels so exciting at this point in league.
Yeah, we've gotten now to a point where I feel like meta's starting to get fleshed out at least a little bit, but there's certainly plenty of room for creativity, and especially among players that have like pocket picks, things like that they could bust out. So I always get excited when I get to see some new champion or some new strategy that I hadn't seen before, and that's always going to come out during the preseason.
It most certainly will. In terms of players, though, do you think there is anyone in particular that we should perhaps be watching?
I personally, I'm a massive fan of Melon. I think that's Melon Popsicle. I love that name for one thing, but I think he's just an insanely talented jungler. He's playing a lot of what's really meta right now, and carrying very, very hard for his team. So to me, if you're going to watch a player specifically in this game, I love to watch Melon Popsicle.
Melon popsicle. I quite fancy trying a melon popsicle. That sounds rather juicy, to be honest. A few entertaining names are coming through from MSU, but we will have to keep an eye on melon popsicle in that jungle role as well. So influential as well with the earlier Drakes that can just so easily determine how a game will develop.
That it will, yeah. Having that mid jungle priority at the moment is definitely the strongest, most easy way to access the majority of your map. Having Melon Popsicle and Dongeritis in that mid lane, in that jungle position, it just gives you such an advantage in the rest of your map. It doesn't matter whether you have massive mismatches in your side lanes, in that bottom and that top lane. If you control the middle of the map, you can usually control the state of the game at any given time, especially as you said with that dragon control coming.
Now, we could talk about preseason all
Mhm.
night longer, but we are ready to get going with picks and bans. Pantheon and the Kazakhs are the first two bans of the night.
Not massively shocking. Again, Melon Popsicle known for his Kha'Zix, plays it all the time. Pantheon still pretty strong in that top side of the map. Also, Nocturne coming through. He's been flexed around top and jungle and mid as of lately, so it's not shocking to see such a powerful champion get taken away. Olaf also, so they're really heavily hitting down on these AD junglers that have been super strong in the preseason.
Yes, maybe they can stop banning some of those junglers. And there we go. The Zaya will come out. Ban, as will the Leona. So a couple of targets towards the bottom lane as well here. You still have the likes of the Kai'Sa Nautilus, the Caitlyn Morgana available first.
Yeah, you got quite a few bot lane options here. Like I said, Caitlyn has been pretty high priority through a lot of the games that I've watched during the preseason, so it wouldn't shock me to see it prioritized early here for one of the bot lanes. Now that Zaya's taken away too, there isn't a ton that's super competitive in terms of like scaling against it. Kai'Sa certainly does that quite well. There are a couple of other champions that can kind of hold out with her, but to me, Caitlyn's still one of the best late game ADC now.
But we're going back to the more standard jungle pick. The J4 will be getting a lot in for Melon Popsicle. And now let's see how Drury University want to respond. They're going to be picking up the Heimerdomngers, and it will be coupled with the Nautilus. That is, of course, though, if the Heimerdinger is going into the ADC role.
Yeah, do you know Talavin, their top laner, has been playing it quite a lot. He's kind of flexed it into the mid and bot lane, but it's possible he's just trying to get practice from the champion to play it in that top side. He's been known to play some of these AP-style top laners, so it wouldn't shock me to see that go up there. Super strong with the new Conquer rune, hasn't quite taken those nerfs yet that are coming in this next patch, so certainly Heimerdinger, one of the most oppressive champions to deal with in any lane.
So Oriana gets locked in, but you said something that just set off some alarm bells for me there, Rebel. Which you reminded me that there's a new Conqueror, and I had failed to consider how that might pair up with Heimerdomngers.
The short answer is disgustingly. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
That would explain why I've been seeing Heimerdinger bans, I guess. But the Gangplank will be the third pickup here for Michigan State University, and now Drury University with their final pick of the first round.
shockingly, MSU is not really hiding their draft right now. It seems like with the Orianna Jarvan pickup, even the Gangplank, they're going for a little bit more scaling and a lot more team fighting than you would normally expect, especially with what they've given away already. No bot lane pick yet, no real flex picks either. You expect Ori to go mid, Gangplank to go top. Like, they're not trying to veil what they're doing. They're coming out with a very defined and clear-cut style. I'm curious to see whether Drury University can use that information to their advantage, or whether they're just going to have to try to take something in the same fashion where they have to be straightforward about their draft as well.
Well, with that Heimerdinger pick, they should be able to flex things around quite nicely, as the Caitlyn ban will come through. We talked about that Caitlyn Morgana potential. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan State ban away that Kai'Sa, having already seen the Nautilus getting picked up, but it will be the Kled ban for now.
Yeah, that's correct. Also, with the amount of AD currently on the side of MSU, wouldn't shock me to see something like even Swain in that bot lane, especially into Heimerdinger. Some of these mages can do pretty well into something like that as well. It wouldn't shock me, beyond belief to see something like that come out. So yeah, especially if that Kai'Sa does get banned, it's the Sivir instead.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing something, maybe even that Syndra coming through in the bot lane. Ideally something that can get rid of those turrets with ease. As you mentioned, the Civic getting banned away by the side of Drury University. The final ban of game 1 over to Michigan State. Let's see if they do want to indeed focus out that Kai'Sa or go for something else, such as the Kennen ban.
Yeah, a couple of top laners banned away, aggressive top laners that can kind of get aggressive or play in team fights as well to make sure that the Gangplank feels at least comfortable in the laning phase, at least comfortable enough to deal with the laning phase, and that he should still always have more contribution than the opposition. So things like Renekton could be taken into something like a Gangplank to get aggressive early, but it's certainly never going to out team fight a Gangplank, relying really heavily on the individual skill of Jupiter Jubs here.
Ooh, Stana's going to get locked in, and that is a champ that can... Oh, but you asked for something spicy, Rebel, and we have got something spicy. However, I do want to bring up something interesting because I'm not sure if Michigan State have considered this one. The fact that the new busted item, Sanguine Blade, it does not recognize Yuumi as a champion that is nearby if she is attached, as Lissandra gets locked in. So, we talk about in the bot lane how Stormraze is super busted, how the new Static Shiv is really busted. But I'm interested to see whether Tristana will opt for an earlier Sanguine Blade, maybe to have a bit of extra oppression to the lane.
So, yeah. So I would actually assume maybe it's potentially still Heimer bot with Tristana in the top lane because of the way that Tristana is able to trade, especially into something like a Gangplank. She doesn't have hard CC to shut down, so those oranges feel a lot less... They feel less useful. They're only really a sustain tool that kind of burns through your mana as Gangplank. Not to mention the fact that Tristana, really good in those 1v1 duels, has the range advantage on Gangplank and scales immaculately. Also takes tower stat. Like, everything about Tristana feels really, really dominant in this lane, outside of the fact that Gangplank has some globals, has a lot of wave clear that he's accesses very, very quickly with barrels, and that, you have a lot of that scaling option in both of those. You don't feel bad if you're Gangplank scaling into the late game, but to me, Tristana going in the top lane wouldn't shock me as a counter to Gangplank just because of the way the champion can definitely command this lane.
And I just made a terrible decision of taking a look at Twitch. And then I just saw the image that's being used for you, Rebel. And I just got a feeling like Rebel should be in a TV show. For some reason, I just feel like that. It just works so well.
The one picture that I got of myself from a live event that I casted, and it had to be that one. Like, of all the that.
Ladies and gents, let's have a caption contest. Caption that picture from Revel Fox. But anyway, in all seriousness, we are in picks and bans in the client, so we will be getting to see whether it's going to be the spicy. Well, they're both spicy. Tristana top or Heimerdinger top. Either way, we are going to be in for an absolute cracker of game 1, and it is going to be the Heimerdinger locked in for Taliban.
Yeah, interesting to see. Yeah, again, that's flexible across both lanes. I do feel like Heimerdinger may not have the same kind of matchup in the laning phase that Tristana does, although, again, Taliban might be the only one actually playing this at the time, so you just must feel comfortable on the Heimerdinger, especially if you're going to take it that early, relying on that flex pick. But, again, it was MSU were the ones that were very straightforward about where their champions were going to go, and still somehow Drury still has to throw the Heimerdinger, what you would expect to be the worst matchup in the top lane, against it. It feels a little strange to me to have force something like that.
Yeah, but I'm also looking in a more kind of generic sense at these 5v fights, because whenever you see a Heimerdinger, you always think you cannot engage on this comp because there is a Heimerdinger, he throws down an Electron Storm Grenade, and it's over. This side of Michigan State University, the kind of draft is, we want to jump in on you. You know, we've got great ball delivery for the Orianna. Garen wants to rush in on you, but the Heimerdinger should be a really good way of disengaging that, as well as the Lissandra.
Yeah, it's crazy. Both compositions actually have a lot of ways to just straight up run at somebody and throw an engagement. You've got the Jarvan EQ ultimate with the Orianna ultimate, and then Garen and Yuumi, they just start running in. Gangplank throws the barrels in. The opposite side, you've got Rek'Sai to dash in, Lissandra to jump in, Tristana can throw a rocket jump in, you've got Nautilus. So you have so many ways to engage a fight on both sides. It feels very standard 5-on-5. So I do think laning phases are going to make a massive difference in how these kind of operate against one another.
Right, and let's talk about this bot lane finally, I guess. I mean, we talked about the little thing that you can do with a Sanguine Blade, whether it's a bug or not. But let's talk about it more generically, how we see this matchup going.
Yeah, so Garen Yuumi took a few nerfs a long time ago, like right after Worlds. It basically took quite a few nerfs in terms of what its damage output is. Yuumi's been getting gutted pretty consistently as of late. Still not a terrible combination between the two. As you said, the Sanguine Blade build's actually something Tristana in a solo lane has been doing quite a bit, so it wouldn't shock me to see something like that come out. But like I said, Garen's engagement into Tristana is a lot harder to access with a Nautilus around her. So Tristana feels very comfortable in either a scaling sense against the Garen Yuumi, or in terms of fighting sense, because she has that range advantage, has that ability, the Nautilus there to use a lot of CC. And early on, Garen and Yuumi just don't have the damage output that this Nautilus Tristana kid brings. So to me, the Garen Yuumi almost has to stall their lane as best as possible and look for the usage of this mid lane dominance that they bring. Jarvan, Orianna, they can set up skirmishes really well, and then the Garen Yuumi can kind of help come clean up fight.
On that note, though, we're going to take you through a few words from our sponsors over at Econo Keyboards. If you are looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Econo have got you covered. Econo works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Econo have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. If you need to find a new keyboard and more for your setup, we can't recommend anyone better than Econo. For more information, head on over to econo.store. Check out all they have to offer. That's KONO.store. Econo, discover amazing products. And with that said and done, we're going to be heading into a short break. We'll be right back for the first game of the night. The gates have been opened, and the tennis champions scuttle out onto the rift
Oh,
for the Upsurge of mine.
oh,
Did
oh
you
no.
have to ruin that?
I'm sorry. Jarvan walked out without an item, and I'm worried he's not gonna have a jungle item for his first few camps. Okay.
You know what? I
Oh, he
can let you off the
realized.
hook for that one.
Oh, he's going back for the sweeping ward. Maybe he was waiting to see what was going down before he started it. Okay, that's what we'll assume. He didn't forget it. He knew it was happening.
Next level strats coming through to not give away his itemization as we see Fifika picking up a nice juicy 15 gold. Have I actually told you, Rebel, about my insane, like, 7-head Yumi strategy?
7-head Yumi strategy. No,
Yes.
you haven't told me about this.
So, Yumi, when you play Yumi, you never really get hit as Yumi. So, my strategy is
You
to
don't buy a
not
health
take...
potion?
There you go. There you go. I feel like I have told you this,
I
but
have no idea.
I don't know. But
I
yeah,
don't know.
you don't take health potions, and then you can get your Fiendish Codex a little bit earlier. However, that is not the case tonight. Well, not for game 1 anyway. We'll be picking up 2 health potions and that very juicy spell feed edge. I'm also quite interested to see how the Garen with the Conqueror is going to be working in the bot lane, just because Conqueror, well, it's Conqueror.
Yeah. We saw it is more effective against some of the squishier champions due to the fact that you're getting more AD.
Rebel, it's my turn to interrupt you. They did a switcheroo.
Yeah, they also
Hell of it, AD. Hey. Okay, I'm happy. Right. I'm not gonna lie. I had a feeling that this could potentially happen when I saw that there was a TPs on Shallow and Talavin, but I didn't have time to mention it, and now I feel sad that I didn't get to call a next level call.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Heimer was predicted towards the bottom lane. Again, it was really Talavin who's been playing the champion. You just must feel more comfortable flexing this to the bottom side. I love this switch. Again, I thought the Tristana had the way better matchup, so I'm happy they were able to make this swap. And both players hopefully feel comfortable in their respective lanes now.
And we'll have to see how this does develop, as Bubble and Fifika can, I guess, get through the turrets at an okay rate.
Melon and Orthica, Off-Curric. Those two are competing over this blue buff.
Yes, they are indeed. Flag and drag to safety from Melon Popsicle, and well, I shall not say the name for now, but will be able to get out on the wreck side.
Yeah, that's a byproduct of what I was talking about with this Tristana. Early on, she has that push pressure with the bomb that she has, and so now all this lane pressure she's able to apply to the gangplank was enough to buy space for her to roam before anybody else was able to. I think Orianna had a slight push on the Lissandra at the time, but it didn't matter. It was just a lot faster of a transition there for Shallow, so nice takeaway of the blue buff. That's a fair amount of experience and gold denied from this Jarvan.
Yeah, this Flag and drag will take Melon out to safety, but as Jake Peralta would say, Shallow is the bomb. And coming in pretty big already, helping Off-Curric, just getting a little, yes, advantage. 24-12 at the moment as we approach the 4-minute mark of the game.
Yeah, team's helping him out quite a bit. That's twice now he's gotten his laners to move towards this jungle to make sure that he has the space to push off the Jarvan. Now, also invading towards this Raptor camp. There's nothing there, thankfully, but yeah, over and over again, Off-Curric feels comfortable.
The engage in the mid lane, they find the knockup with a flash. Dongriders will be able to get out by being engaged on the turret. The turret shots come through, no deaths just yet, but some very low health bars.
Yeah, really nice. The flash burnt away from the Orianna is really exploitable here by the Rek'Sai. The great trade of damage back from the Orianna onto the Rek'Sai should push him out. Yeah, he's going to have to back off that. And that buys a little more space for Jarvan to clear the rest of these camps as they come up. So thankfully buys him a little bit of breathing room that he just hasn't had. And Orianna actually has been able to stay. Hasn't really been pushed off by Lissandra quite yet.
Yeah, and as another glacial path comes through, not going to be enough to dive Dongriders, who does still have that cleanse available to him. Didn't use it in that first raid.
Yeah. Will be a little harder. If he's able to use that early enough, he can deny any of the engage that could come out from the Rek'Sai, but because Rek'Sai did burn flash for that as well, so, you know, even if the Lissandra is able to land some CC, Orianna should feel really safe.
A lot of damage coming through with the Judgment, as the Dredgeline will find its mark and evens out the trade somewhat, but not by a whole amount. but that does kind of show what can happen if Pablo and Fifika can get onto Taliban.
That's correct, yeah. And Pablo wasn't even actually there to contribute a ton of damage or assistance to the Garen. Got stunned up and then immediately had to jump back into Pablo to make sure she didn't get trades onto. Melon Popsicle getting aggressive again.
Yeah, off correct once again, playing aggressive, invading the top side jungle, pardon me, and Shallow is there quickly to support it.
Yeah, again, continuously Melon Popsicle just getting invaded by this little bit faster clear speed of Orthkuric here. Really impressive the way they've been able to actually manage this. Melon Popsicle falling behind. He's down 2 levels now because of the way that Jungle Farm works. So he has to try to find some ganks, try to get a little bit of pressure on this map because right now he's getting pressured away from his camps. He has the scaling lanes, which is nice for later on, but right now he's feeling the pain that's being exerted by the Rek'Sai. This is a very unique way of playing the jungle, but it is really dominating, and it's making Melon Popsicle probably feel a little bit lost and a little bit questioning about what he needs to do.
Yeah, and first break of the game is going to be an Infernal, and that would work out quite well for Michigan State, who I guess every single lane could use that extra bit of damage.
That they could. Absolutely. Across everybody for the most part. In fact, both teams probably love this dragon right now. The only person who really doesn't use it is this Nautilus, so could be a point of contention. Again, though, it just feels...
The flash, but the cleanse comes through as the answer. Dredge line in as well. First blood goes over to Mika Lee.
Yeah. Having these scaling lanes, having these champions that get pushed in over and over again, no flash on the Orianna, just really nice punishment across all. Now they do have pressure towards this dragon as well, so they might be the ones to confirm this for their team. They've got a lot of members that use it, so it's a great takeaway. And because of this experience and this gold lead currently by the Rek'Sai, doesn't really feel bad about committing heavily to it and allowing the Jarvan to farm up, not have to feel this pressure anymore.
And Melon Popsicle will be forced to eat up the wave that has been pushed in by Baymax in the mid lane, which will allow Orthkuric and Mikuli to pick up this first Drake for Drury University.
Yeah. Does feel nice for Melon Popsicle to be able to at least pick that one up. But yeah, the takeaway of the Infernal Drake's pretty big for the early stage of the game, having that extra damage. And Dragon Control's an amazing thing in this preseason. We've seen it time and time again, just winning games, especially if you can get to that soul. So feels pretty nice. Does give Jarvan a little bit more wiggle room, gets him back into this game.
Approach the 8-minute mark. Well, Pablo and Fifika starting to struggle, it seems, as next break is going to be a Cloud as well.
Another really good one. Helpful for ultimates that can come through both teams. I would say, you know, Melon Popsicle and Doggeritis really love having that cooldown reduction because those two are the primary engage tools. They're great engage tools for this team as well, so having that cooldown reduction would be nice for them. They got pushed out this time because of a pick in the mid lane. Should, if that gets denied this next time, maybe have the ability to trade, have the ability to contest for it with this kind of wombo combo they've got set up.
Drury University picking up that Drake with a lot of ease, I guess. This Rek'Sai pick has been working out fantastically for them. We'll have to see how much more of an impact Orthkuric can have, but you know, we talk about jungle difference or whatever it may be. Orthkuric has had a good game, but as you mentioned at the start, Shallow helping him out so much, and then the bot lane helping him pick up that Scuttle Crab as well. And here comes Orthkuric in the top lane, looking for Jupiter. Rocket jump out from Shallow, and I guess the turret dive will not be coming around this time.
Yeah, I guess what happened during the course of that was just Shallow maybe felt uncomfortable, or Orthkuric just didn't feel comfortable. Finished up with the flash, with the anything else.
And Drury University picking up that first Drake of the game. We'll have to see whether they can get the second as well. Cloud Drake spawning in just 3 minutes time.
Yeah, you got you actually have Rick Herald as well coming up, being taken right now by the Rek'Sai. All this pressure that's had by the Rek'Sai early on in this game allows him to kind of command around these neutral objectives, and it's really nice. It's not as dominant.
Oh, Dredge line misses his mark, but here we go. As the final chapter comes through, Talabin will be able to get out of that. But Pablo just jumping right in with a flash, all of a sudden clicks his fingers and the engage comes through.
That it does, yeah. A little bit more magic resistant. Pablo might be able to feel comfortable doing that without having to burn that flash, having to get on top of him immediately. Now that actually no flash was burnt there from Caladan, so that's really nice for him. Not have to lose that summoner spell, but certainly we see the damage. Again, that's the second time we've seen when the Garen gets on top of the Heimerdinger, especially with this Yumi on him. It's really, really difficult to survive something like that.
And Pavel now down to about half HP. I'm surprised how easily Talavin got out of that without having to burn his flash. But that being said, it's 1-0 at the minute in favor of Drury University, who are sporting a 1.5k gold lead. Things are starting to look tricky for MSU, but you know, they're not some nice scaling aspects with the likes of the Yumi.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of their strength can also come into this mid game. Like I said, having something like the Jarvan and Orianna, the damage scales a lot later, but having that kind of immediate, impactful like engagement is a great tool in a lot of these skirmishes and a lot of these dragon fights, especially in those clustered areas where you have to group up a little bit more. So if you're able to find a little bit more application for it, like I said, around this next dragon, maybe around this next Rift Herald, you might have a chance of turning this game on its head. And again, you're not down super heavily right now on either side, so you feel pretty comfortable being able to do something like that.
With the Cloud Drake coming up, it's a pretty big Drake. We might be seeing both teams vying for priority over that, and maybe a bit of a 5v5 coming out as Jupiter Jugs just every time he steps up, just takes so many hits from Chala.
But he does. Hasn't had to worry too badly. All these lanes, again, get pressured very, very hard in the earlier stages.
Baymax decides to go in, but he's going to get poked out as a shockwave comes through, and all the damage will follow. The Glacial Tomb will come out, as we've seen the Dredge line in the bot lane. And, well, with the changes to Rift Herald, the CC will not cancel Shelly, and another Glacial Tomb will take Baymax out to safety. Saw the Cannon Barrage dropping down on top.
Yeah, and with Garen and Yuumi stepping out of this bottom lane, they actually probably going to lose this tower as well, which is unfortunate. So first tower going their way. Now also with having this bottom tower taken away, you have another set of dragon control for the side of Drury Esports here. So you feel a lot better about getting this Cloud Drake even against the composition with the Orianna, with the Jarvan, especially because that ultimate's now down for the Orianna. You feel much more comfortable going for this Cloud Drake.
Both flashes burnt by both mid laners, and as you mentioned, with that turret down, this is going to provide an even better opportunity than what Drury University already had. They're going to look straight away for the Drake after they pick up this gun.
Yeah, but they will. Pretty decent advantages. Again, this has come to be expected from the side of Drury Esports. They have the team that's a little bit better in the laning phase. Certainly, or at least the lane matchups that feel a lot more preferable for the most part. And a lot of that early aggression pushing Melon off certainly compounded a lot of that. Mountain Drake going to be the third one. That is a great Drake for either side, having that armor magic to stack on, and having some of this extra terrain on the map isn't too shabby either.
Especially for potentially Miku Lee with those dredge lines. Pardon me. But something else I do want to bring up is, and I guess this kind of boils back down to the changes to preseason, is that, you know, when we do get these early versus late game scaling comps, I do feel that it does favor the early game comps more, because if they can pick up an advantage, as, you know, Drury University, they clearly have an advantage. It's not a massive one in terms of, hey, look, they've got, you know, triple kills here and there and everywhere. But it is a lead, and they are picking up the Drakes, and it will allow them to snowball. Flag and Drag coming in, but the Rocket Jump will take Shallow out to safety as Dongoritis. I'm not sure if he meant to do that with the Blast Cone, or if that was all part.
I think maybe they were trying to set up a dive onto the top lane, and not getting over that wall means that it pretty much gets denied. Otherwise, he has to walk all the way around, especially because he was spotted out by this Rek'Sai. So nothing gained, nothing lost for the most part. Just a little bit of time there from the side of Melon, Popsicle, and this Orianna as well.
Yep. The Pebble making his way to the mid lane. The Dredge line wasn't able to find its mark. Bot lanes have swapped around with the mid lanes officially now. We will be getting Kelly up in 1.5.
Oh, we will. And again, with the pressure that's been generated, and now with this Heimerdinger also sitting in the mid lane, you have the ability to rotate a lot better with the Nautilus if he wants to go help out his jungler, help out anybody in these side lanes. And Heimerdinger himself also pretty helpful around these objectives as well. So I would expect another Rift Herald potentially pretty easily taken once it does spawn. So that's, again, neutral objective control, the name of the game at the moment, and it's just going very heavily in the way of Drury Esports.
Yeah, and actually that was one of the first times that a turret, or, you know, its charge leading to a turret very shortly after Drury University able to use it magnificently well. We'll have to see whether they can have the same effect with the second Rift Herald of the game. Still 1 kill this game so far. And, well, Drury University looking to set up for that second Rift Herald.
That they are. Have plenty of vision control in the river, and again, having this Lysandra also, it's a lot of access to wave clear. Drury looking for Dongerite is not going to find him though, fortunately. Oh, that damage though.
The Dongeritis has Luden's Echo, and he now deals a lot of damage. However, 3-man collapse, and the Demolished Procs will secure that outer turret in the top lane. The final outer turret is in the mid lane, but Pavel looking aggressive in the final chapter will come through. Do they have the damage? The stopwatch will get burnt as the judgment comes out. Flash over the wall, they're looking for Talabit. I think they've got their kill, you know, and the decisive strike will be decisive indeed. But a bit of damage onto Pavel, and now Baymax flashes forward. Dredgeline takes Miku Lee out, but not out far enough. And now the turnaround as MSU, they want more. They spot the Rek'Sai, they are chasing as the Prowling Projectile will find his mark. It will find the slow. Oskurik is looking like he might get out of this one, and Flag and Drag will take Melon Popsicle into the pit as MSU look to pick up their first objective of the game.
Yeah, are able to finally secure this one. A fight with a great flank from this Garen and the Yuumi combination. I think it could have gone even better for them. I feel like there were a couple of plays, maybe just a few missteps made in terms of like positioning or target selection there that could have completely turned that fight from like a 2-kill fight to 3, maybe even 4 kills in that Rift Herald, which would have made a massive difference.
Rocket Jump in the bot lane looking for Jupiter, who is forced to flash out, and such is the damage of Shallow right now. He has gone for the Blade of the Ruined King, not for the Sanguine Blade, and I find that one a somewhat interesting decision considering how busted Sanguine Blade is right.
I guess the thought is that he isn't always going to be able to get just an absolute pure 1v1 up against this Gangplank. Now, originally I also thought to myself, like, okay, if Jarvan comes top lane, having that Sanguine Blade is going to be a lot of denial for those flat stats, and you're not going to be able to kite nearly as well as having the Blade of the Rune King, and that's likely what he did. So having his Blade of the Rune King more than likely a safety option, more than it is a lack of appreciation for what Sanguine Blade might be able to bring to the lane.
We've got the Mountain Drake spawning in 12 seconds. Now, despite a bit of a kink in the armor, the collapse is coming in. The depth charger comes through. The full collapse onto the Jarvan. Melon Popsicle has been popped. And that's 1 kill going over to Drury University. With the jungler down, this is going to be a fantastic opportunity to pick up the Mountain Drake. And more crucially, the 3rd Elemental Drake of the game.
Yeah, Drew's been doing a great job around these objectives as best as possible. They're always looking for that one play right before they're able to make that rotation. We've seen it with first few Dragons we saw with that Rift Herald last time, even though the play didn't go great for them. And now we see another pickoff, this time onto Melon Popsicle in the jungle, and they're able to secure this Drake for themselves. That is just a great setup, and they're constantly playing around these neutral objectives as a team. It's making it impossible for the side of MSU to actually compete for anything.
It is. Baron is also going to be on the cards, but with a Mountain Drake up in 4.5 minutes, Drury University might be looking for priority over that, as that will be the Mountain Soul as well.
Yeah, really, really important. So having that massive shield on your team is great for a lot of engaged compositions, being able to kind of deny a lot of the burst damage that would come out from something like a Garen Q if you were to jump in with it, Orianna ultimate, Jarvan ultimate, a big Gangplank barrel. All of those get denied. Even one full combo of any of those members getting denied by that Mountain Shield is enough to completely turn a fight around. So having that soul is going to be huge. Also, again, that armor magic resist you get from that dragon stacking is just absolutely massive.
Another interesting point I want to bring up is Pavel has gone for the Black Cleaver over the Triforce. Is this more of a respect considering the fact that we've got a Mountain Soul on the Rift?
I think it's more so that if he feels like if he's going to contribute, he's going to contribute in the middle of a team, something along those lines, in the same way that Jarvan might. And so if he's not going to be the massive damage dealer, if he's not going to be this huge kind of one-shot machine that you could build full AD Garen to do, then maybe he's expecting to pick up a little bit, or Gangplank to pick up a little bit of the slack. So having this Black Cleaver going to shred armor that stacks with the armor pen that already comes from barrels that's built by Gangplank. So just going to do pretty much true damage to the majority of people if those stacks are able to kind of come through from this Garen.
Baron is now up, and well, if Othkaric or Melon Popsicle do get caught out, I'm sure both teams will be looking to go for Baron. 4 members over. Oh, rocket jump forward. Almost catches out Melon Popsicle, who will be forced to flag and drag to safety as a cannon barrage will drop down. The final chapter comes through. I think they've caught out Baymax here, but Baymax will do everything in his power. The Frozen Tomb come through. Drury University need to find the fight, as that's going to be the Glacial Tomb out to safety, but not quite, because Pavel picks up a kill. Melon Popsicle finds a second. Dredge line in, but Mikuli is going to be a sacrificial lamb as Shallow looks to kite away, forced to flash 4 kills for 1 in the favor of MSUD team. And Drury University thought they were getting the pick. It's the other way around, and now Michigan State look for the Baron.
And again, this is the whole prospect behind designing a team composition that has this wombo like this. They've given it away since the beginning of the game, drafted pretty weak lanes, and now finally you're starting to see the payoff for this. Having this massive Orianna, the Jarvan for the ability to jump in, this big AoE damage that can come out from pretty much every member. You win team fights. You don't lose them when you're all clustered like that. And there's a little bit of indecisiveness, I think, from the side of Drury. They could have walked away, just given Lissandra up, but they gave up an engage to this Orianna and to this Jarvan on the backside of the fight, and then the damage just came through from Pavel to be able to clean up the rest. Now they've sacrificed their entire lead. They're actually down 200 gold this first Baron of the game, and there's a ton of standing gold on the map. A lot of these towers haven't taken a ton of damage, so if you can siege down 2, 3, 4 towers, you're going to feel amazing if you're on the side of MSU now.
But I find it also rather interesting because, as you mentioned, MSU have, a fantastic wombo combo, but I feel that the other aspect of this is we've now seen 2 5v5 team fights, but both times, Drury University almost look confused as to what do we need to do. However, I'll hold that thought as the dredge line misses its mark. Jupiter Judge will be able to get out. The shockwave will come through, but the buffering from the rocket jump is huge. Back to what I was saying though, I feel that their comp is harder to execute. As you mentioned, MSU's comp is very easy to execute. The Garen goes in and everything kind of blows up. Whereas Drury University, the first 5v5 team fight, they look really confused. The second fight, Baymax got caught out, and then the team, they weren't sure, are we going to save Baymax? Are we not going in? And they ended up doing both, and everyone just died.
Yeah, the problem is, I think even with a Nautilus, you don't have anybody on the team, like after the nerfs to Aftershock at least, you don't have anybody that can really soak a ton of damage. You have members that can stall, so if Sandra can go in, she can ult herself, go into Zonia, something like that. Rek'Sai can go in, can ultimate, even like the Nautilus with Aftershock will be able to sustain quite a bit of damage. But the problem is nobody's there to soak it for an extended period of time. So having these Mountain Drakes is nice, but if you don't continue to stack them, you're not going to have that kind of damage. So that instantaneous Orianna ultimate, the Gangplank barrels, all of that just shred your health bars. And because of the easier access to this damage designed by MSU, you're running into that problem of, okay, we can't generate any picks, we can't get anything done with our composition. That's a lot harder to play, and now they're actually going to lose a Drake maybe here.
MSU go to Drake, but they will be spotted out. The Drake is already down to 2,000 HP, but here goes the Rek'Sai. He might be able to pick up a free Drake. Can he find the steal? This is going to be big, and no, he will not. MSU find the Drake. The Cataclysm comes in. They find the kill onto the Rek'Sai. Popsicle will flash out and will be able to survive, but the Garen goes in. Pavel finds the second kill. Actually goes over to Dongaritis. 2 kills for nothing, and now Dongaritis are looking for more. The Decisive Strike comes in, flag and drag, they look for Shallow. Shallow will be able to find the kill. No, he will not, as the Yumi Zoomies come into the rescue. Talabin now running for his life, getting Chaser down. He should be able to get out of this one, but overall, 4 kills in for nothing. And I would have potentially said worth it if Drury University had picked up that mountain.
Yeah, not going to be able to get that one. Just way too early. A smite coming in from Othkaric on this one. It was just an impressive team fight once again. It seems to me also like the decision-making on the side of MSU is just so much cleaner. They always know what the eventual goal is going to be, and Drury sometimes seems like they're disconnected in what their intention is. Having Lissandra on the backside of the fight, does she just flash in? She's got flash on her. Does she flash into 4 members, get that engagement off, and then wait for the rest of her team to come in? Does she just hang around and wait for an engagement to come through from the opposite side to respond to it? These are the questions that just aren't being answered by Drury fast enough, and they continue to lose these 5v5s. And you still have a ridiculous number of towers, and you're still down in gold. About 2,000 gold here is the side of Drury, despite the fact that you've taken so many of these neutral objectives.
Another thing I want to mention, which is really important as well, is Jupiter Jug didn't have TP in that. Shallow TP'd in. That was a 5v4 in favor of Drury University, and they still lost so darn hard.
Now, in fairness, you have the Gangplank ultimate did come down, so you can say he did contribute to the fight at least a little bit. But yeah, having that 4v5, you should win that most of the time if you're the one there first, especially with a team with the Lysandra, with the ability to stall the fight, with the Nautilus and all these pick tools that come through. Like, it doesn't feel like they're playing the composition correctly. And again, it's a hard one to play, but if they're going to draft it, they got to play it, and it's just not working for them at the moment.
Drury University, they had a fantastic early game, but they just don't seem to be syncing up right now. MSU just feels so much cleaner at this point in time. We got our second Baron coming up in 1.5 minutes, along with a Mountain Drake in 2.5, and that would be the second Mountain for Michigan State. However, I still do feel, you know, if Drury can get that Mountain Soul, maybe they have a chance, but having lost 3 fights in a row, now I just feel that even if they get that Mountain Soul, in fact, I actually think Michigan State could just hand that one over just to get an earlier Baron, because they feel so much better in these team fights.
So the way I feel like Drury could play this game out is in one of two ways. Either A, they could throw Shallow into the side lane. I feel like it doesn't matter really how strong this Gangplank gets. He's going to have wave clear, but this Tristana's always going to have some kill pressure on it at any stage in the game because of the way the Tristana works. And that's a large part of your team fight, but it is a super strong side lane champion that pushes down towers just so well. I would always have this Tristana on the bottom side of the map to be able to contribute that when the TP's up or when anything like that happens. The other thing that you could do is you can set up early around these objectives. Be the first one with wards in the river. Be the first one with these kind of deeper wards readily available, because you've got the Lysandra, you've got the dive tools available to your team, that you can make a snap decision that your team has to create beforehand. So if you say, we're going to sit around Baron, we're going to bait for it, and then Lysandra's going to go in, Rek'Sai's going to go in, we're going to turn immediately with Nautilus, something like that. But in order to get that done, you can't be responsive to these neutral objectives. You have to be the first one there, and they haven't been for the last few minutes.
Drury trying to be the first ones to the Baron, though, as in the top lane, MSU find their final outer turret. 6 turrets down, well, 6 outer turrets down, and an extra one in the top lane, in the side of Drury. Now, Baron is up, and the setup will come through. Shadow has picked himself up, and Executioners are calling as well, just to deal with some of Fifika's healing from those zooms.
Yeah. I do think that this is the one place in which MSU is super weak right now, is around this Baron area. You don't have a ton of consistent damage. Gangplank and Orianna can do quite a bit, but without a true marksman, without a consistent damage mage, somebody that's doing all this damage, it's a little bit difficult to take the Baron. On the opposite side, you've got Tristana and you've got Heimerdinger on your team to be able to put out a ton of damage. Heck, Heimerdinger and Tristana might be able to actually just solo it themselves, even with just Nautilus there. 3-person Baron isn't out of the question for them, because of the way the composition is designed. So if you're on the side of MSU, you are requiring a fight. You require at least 1, 2, 3 champion picks in order just to compete for this Baron. On the other side, you can play a little bit more spread across the map. You can play this kind of bait and switch game where you don't have to find a fight. You don't have to find those picks ahead of time.
However, who cares about a Baron when you can pick yourselves up a second Mountain Drake of the game? Michigan State will be securing that. However, they have to move fast, because the Drury have realized that they have no chance of getting the Drake, and they're going straight on a Baron. The Cannon Barrage comes down, Kurik down very low, and here comes the engage. Talavin will most certainly be dying, and indeed he will. And there's a stopwatch as well from Baymax, who will also fall. Drury say thank you very much for the... Sorry, pardon me. Michigan State say thank you very much for the leash and a Prowling projectile sniping down Kurik. Not quite enough for the kill, but the Baron will be going the way of Michigan State unless Kurik can pull out something insanely spectacular. Prowling projectile finds Miku Lee. But here comes Kurik. He gets spotted out. Flash over the wall. Prowling projectile not going to find his much decisive strike. It keeps Kurik away. Baron is secured, but Pavel isn't done yet. Kurik hits. He finds the blast going to safety.
Yeah, I don't really know what that was from Drury University. Shallow was in the area immediately just autoing down the Baron when they knew they were going to try to split for the Dragon. But that was a terrible call. The Rift Scuddler was down on that, so they had permanent vision of the area. They knew what was going on. Tristana took about half her health bar just from Baron damage alone before that fight even started. And the rest of the team came in right about the time that it was MSU responding to that play. So at no point did they have any bearing whatsoever being in that area. You cannot do that. You have to be the first one there. You can't tie them there. You can't, have your like ADC with half a health bar when you got. This isn't the kind of planning that you need to do. That's a decisive call, but it's a poorly designed and a poorly executed call. You need to have them much earlier in your head before you try to do something like this.
And as a result, Drury lose everything. Mountain, kills, and of course Baron. Michigan State looking in the drive, looking like they are the ones in the driving of this game. And they could be picking up that third Mountain Drake of the game for themselves in just over 3 minutes of time. But we're seeing Pavel and Fifika split pushing in the top lane as this looks like it could be the collapse coming through onto Jupiter Jugs. Miku Lee stepping forward, will sit behind the turret. Jupiter nowhere to go. Dredge line in. Depth charge not needed. They will find the kill. The TP comes through, and that's the final chapter. But this is a lot of damage coming in as the ultimate picks up one. The turret picks up another. Baymax surely will be falling, and indeed he will. The two-man army of the Garen Yuumi coming in clutch for Michigan State.
Yeah, unreal.
And they want more. Fighting projectile.
Can he catch him? Should be able to now. Yeah, absolutely easy. Just too simple. I mean, seriously, Garen just teleported right to that tower, and they used so much immediately trying to catch the Gangplank ultimate. They didn't, or the Gangplank as he was under tower. It just didn't work out for them. It didn't get him fast enough. And then Garen is ridiculously tanky. Like, with this Yuumi on him, he's basically unkillable. And he just sat between three members, throwing the EQ, throwing the E's, throwing the Q's out. And he just did all of this damage out of basically nowhere. It was ridiculous to see effectively a 2v3 under that tower work out just so well for Pavel, and a nice response to defend his top laner, which is kind of a poor macro decision. They were giving up their entire top side of the map just for a pick on the Gangplank in the bot lane. Even if all that they do is respond with the Garen and the Orianna pushing in the top lane, they still end up with inhibitor tower and probably trade positively.
2v3. I think that was actually a 2v4 from Pavel and Fifika, but I mean, I kind of understand Drury University's the idea, you know, they want to get that pick and then they just want to push for as quickly as possible to at least open up a lane for Shallow.
Yeah, it's not a terrible option to give Shallow a little bit more room to work with. He's also not really building a ton of split push type items. He's got that Mortal Reminder, which is definitely more aimed towards this Yuumi. The Phantom Dancer is nice, but it's more protection against something like Dive. It's not massively a solo lane item as much anymore.
Oh no, Dredgeline finds his mark, and that is the Empowered W as well. For University, they have found a pick, and we've praised them before for finding picks before a Drake, an objective comes up, but still 50 seconds, and well, Dongaritis will be spawning just as the Drake does. So maybe Drury can sneak this one in with a 5v4, as Dongaritis was a pretty big member, but now it's all about Pavel and Fifik.
Yeah, that ultimate is absolutely crucial to this team fight. It's one of the two big tools that they've got to work with. And again, I love this style of play where they're able to control objectives by finding these picks, finding these areas, these gaps of lack of information to play towards, which is nice for Drury. That's really the one thing they've been doing really well all game, is controlling these objectives with this pick-off play, doing their due diligence to try to design some of this most of the time. That Baron's been a little bit risky for them, but now you're walking in 4v5 into this Mountain Drake pit when you've got something like the Mountain Dragon Soul on the table. This is really precarious for the side of MSU. They might just have to give this, honestly.
They do have to give it up, and the Mountain Soul is on the side of Drury. It took them a while, but they've got it. But the final chapter comes in. They find a two, but do they have the damage? Dongaritis is on his way, but he's still so far away. Dredgeline comes in, the Prowling Projectile, but it's not enough. Melon Popsicle gets taken down, and now they turn on to the Garen. But look at the Nexus, the TP in from Jupiter Jugs, as the Guardian's Angel will get popped. Dongaritis finds the kill, but the TP, the back from Baymax, and now they'll find the Glacial Tomb onto the Gangplank. As can they actually find the kill? The Nexus is down to half HP. They will finally take down Jupiter Jugs. Dongaritis finding the kill onto Upsurge despite the Void Rush coming through. And, well, Drury University, they get the soul, but they lose 2 Nexus turrets, and they lose the mid lane inhibitor turret.
If you're going to play objective chicken, that's how you play objective chicken right there. You've got 3 massive, difficult to kill members on your team. The Jarvan that's basically full tank, the Garen that's got a lot of tankiness, alongside this Yumi to heal both of them with a ton of that CC. The whole plan was never the team fight. It was never to win anything like that. It was always just to stall and buy time for Gangplank to TP into this base. Now you've got a crippled Nexus with that's very exposed right now, and another inhibitor that's exposed as well to give options on this top side of the map. So when that Baron comes back up, you've got those lanes pushed forward with the super minion you'll have flooding in. This is a great setup now to control this Baron area from the side of MSU. They traded super well. The Mountain Soul is super valuable. It does a lot of good things, but that damage that they did is certainly, I would say it's at minimum on par with what they gave up.
Let me bring up a hypothetical situation. We've got a Baron. Teams are, you know, doing their things where they hit each other for a bit, then they run away, then they come back and hit each other. Pablo then presses Q, and he runs at the Nexus. Are Drury even able to stop him with a Yumi on top?
I think it's difficult in order to do something like that. Now,
Drury, they're going to play it safe. They're not going to really step forward to the Baron, as they have to be respectful. They've already been forced to give away 2 Barons this game. They have the Mountain Soul, but the Mountain Soul is not one of the strongest and potentially the weakest of all 4 souls. Baron down to now 9,000 HP. Surely they have to find a fires. That's the shockwave coming in. Do they have the damage? Shallow forced to flash away, as that is going to be the final chapter coming up. And now they turn over to Miku Lee, as Alessandro will join the fight. No kills just yet. Jupiter Jugs down to half HP, but crucially, Shallow is going to have to be backing out of this.
Yeah, that he will.
Mid lane.
Yeah, does a pretty good job sustaining back up, so might be able to turn back. Most of this team did lose. Actually, they didn't lose a ton. They were able to actually come back and maybe re-engage into this Baron. They have all the ultimates they would ever want. And without Orianna ultimate, you have a little bit of that. That's going to be up in about 10 seconds here. But certainly they have a window.
Here we go. The fight comes in. They find the decisive strike onto the Lissandra. Flag and drag, but Melon Popsicle is going to get taken down. Rocket jump back in. And there comes the Glacial Path in. They look for the Garen, but Garen finds one in return. And the judgment comes through. Talavin will get taken down. This is the fight for Michigan State. They find the ace. Popsicle is the only one who gets taken down. And now the TP to the top lane. Michigan State looking to end this one right here.
Yeah, they looked for the fight initially, didn't work out for them, so they had to wait long enough for the Orianna ultimate to come back, and they were able to wait long enough. That backline got obliterated by the shockwave, and because of that, Pablo felt very comfortable alongside Fifka to dive and get plenty of damage left. Upsurge was not able to do the exact same on his backline, and so this is just a win for MSU, a great turnaround from that early game.
I think this is the first time I've ever seen a team that has the Soul Drake lose a game. Wow.
It's an interesting strategy to have such a scaling composition and to give up things like the Dragon Soul in exchange for what will be proper team fighting, getting the gold advantage, and then just playing the better team fighting. It's not something usually that I would expect teams to rely on, but this was MSU really, really relying on their team fighting.
Yeah, and as we take a look at post-game stats, so much damage coming through from the Orianna, and indeed the Tristana as well from Drury University. Thoughts, Rebel?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing was, like I said, on both teams, there weren't ridiculous, like on the side of Drury, they didn't have anybody to soak a ridiculous amount of damage, which is why you see their numbers seem a little bit lower. When you've got Garen alongside the heals coming out from Yumi, and you've got a massive Jarvan that can soak a lot of damage, you can take a lot of the punishment that Heimerdinger can bring out, because you just can't burst through your health bar when you are pure tank. A lot of these champions struggled with that issue, especially somebody with like the non-crit for the most of the game. Tristana was also struggling with that. So while the damage was coming out, without that ability to just kill a person, knock them out of the game, these fights continued a lot longer than they would have wanted.
Question.
Yeah.
How does a jungler do so little damage in the game?
Build full tank and dive constantly as a damage soak and die. Yeah.
objective focus, I guess. So before we do head into a break, my question to you, Rebel, Drury University, do they go for more of the same? Do they go for that early game scaling but throw more at it? Or do they go for more of a team fight composition, more of a late game scaling?
Honestly, from what I saw, their decision making isn't as strong as MSU, so I don't want to see them try to take this 5v5 objective based or this 5v5 fight based composition that was just brought up at MSU. I think the early game went well for them. You saw really good decisiveness with their like pickoffs and things like that. You don't want to have to rely on Tristana scaling up. You don't want to have to wait. Lysandra has a lot of early game damage, didn't really get going. I want to see champions that snowball a lot harder. If you're able to do the same thing with champions that have a little bit more early game, a little less late game, I think this could look very, very different.
And on that note, we're going to be heading into a short break, and we'll be right back with Game 2 between Michigan State University and Drury University. Stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Upsurge Minor League Division 1 quarterfinals. Michigan State University have just picked up Game 1 against Drury University. Heading into Game 2, though, Rebel, just remind us what we want to see these two teams keep the same and do different.
Yeah, MSU looked pretty solid in what they did. I thought maybe they were very passive in the earlier stages of the game, which I think could have cost them against the right composition or against if they give up a little too much in the early game. But certainly the way that they played it in a very controlled manner, knowing what they can give up at any given time, it tended to work out for them in a pretty significant way. So I respect what MSU did. I want to see them maybe go back to the same thing. Maybe give somebody an advantage, give one positive lane to work towards for the side of Melon. I think he kind of struggled in that early game because he didn't have a strong lane to go to. On the opposite side, play that aggressive lane. Give multiple laners advantages. Give you that pushing pressure. Let Upsurge do the exact same thing he did last time.
Yeah, but I do want to go back to Upsurge because I feel that sure, we saw him get help from Talavin. We saw him get a pretty substantial lead over Melon Popsicle, but every time he turned up into a lane to try to find a gank, it
Mhm.
never quite worked out.
You talking about Melon Popsicle when he went in for ganks?
Off correct.
Off correct. Yeah, there were very few lane ganks that ended up working out. He did burn a couple of summoners a few times, but certainly able to find some of the things he wanted, but not as much in terms of kill gold or something along those lines that he might expect to on something early like Rek'Sai.
And we are into picks and bans, and a few respect bans coming out from both sides. Drury University, they ban away the Orianna and the Yuumi, as Michigan State take away the Rek'Sai from off-correct.
Yeah, you do give up Olaf and Leona, though, and I know Leona is certainly a champion that Fifka loves to play, so unless Drury is willing to take that away here, but you also have things like Nocturne on the board, you've got Olaf, again, as I said, on the board, you have plenty of these strong champions available for both sides here, so I'm curious what Drury's strategy is.
Mr. Leona coming in straight away from Drury Uni. I can definitely get behind that.
Mm-hmm.
The Golden Girl coming out.
Yeah, strong as hell. Certainly good into the majority of matchups she has, so certainly first pickable. I'm surprised it's not happened more, but maybe just not as much priority on that first pick Leona for most teams.
I'm interested to see because, you know, the Caitlyn Morgana is open, as is the likes of something like the Tristana Nautilus. Let's see if we get a Heimerdinger again, as the Olaf will get locked in for Michigan State.
Yeah, I'm sure Melon Popsicle feels a lot better about this game already, not having to play that tank Jarvan on top of being able to not have to play into Rek'Sai either. So he's got maybe the strongest jungler in the game to pilot in this one. So certainly, I expect to see a lot more out of him in this one. But this already kind of takes away that teamfight aspect a little bit. Olaf, not a phenomenal team fighter unless you're running something very aggressive. Heimerdinger taken away as well.
Michigan State say, we're going to show you how to play a Heimerdinger. And let's see what effect they can make of it. And of course, where that Heimerdinger is going to be getting flexed to, is we're going to be getting the Scion locked in for Drury University.
Interesting. And Nocturne locked in as well. Okay, interesting. Leona's almost definitely going to the support role. That's pretty much locked in. Nocturne can be flexed top or mid or jungle if necessary. Scion also one of these picks that can be flexed in the top or the mid lane if necessary as well. So they have a lot of flexibility on Drury that we didn't really see much of last time. MSU's also got a little bit of that flexibility with the Heimer already taken. So I like the mind games going on. Nautilus locked in for that support role. That's surprising. Leona's been known as a counter recently to the Nautilus, and certainly after some of the nerfs, he feels a little weaker to play. So maybe this is just more comfort than anything for the side of Fifka.
Yeah, we saw Fifka on the Yuumi game one. Now over to the Nautilus. So I guess a fairly different playstyle, but may still be very confident on this pick. However, Drury University, they do have a lot of collapse potential with the choo-choo train and the lights out.
The choo-choo train.
I mean, you know, this is when this is when play-by-play casters start using that really good terminology.
Yeah, that really high caliber
Yes.
words. No, just words, not vocabulary. That's the best I can do. As mentioned, Nocturne, Scion, two really heavy pedal to the metal champions. Leona also really fits into that, so it'd be nice. Olaf would have fit in really nice with his composition as like a death ball that just likes to run in. It's nice that MSU's locked down Heimerdinger. He's a champion that excels when he's getting engaged on, as opposed to most carries, as long as he's got that locket confirmed. So pretty nice to have that available for him. The Nautilus also really nice as a protecting tool.
If we want to add it to that super collapse, maybe we could get something like the Galio and the Kaiser as well, as that would be...
That'd be mean. Shen, maybe? Like Shen for some of that? Oh.
But where does Shen go right now?
Top lane, you throw Scion, mid lane to soak whatever damage you throw there, and then Nocturne comes into the jungle. Then you've got AP from Kai'Sa in the bot lane if you want to run something like that. Just spitballing here, if that's what they want to go for.
True. However, though, I do feel that Michigan State, they do have nice counters, because I feel that they can throw the Heimerdinger wherever the Scion goes, and I'm assuming Heimerdinger counters Scion.
Yes and no. I mean, there's no true damage on Conqueror anymore, so you can't really burn through him, but certainly it's difficult if you're the Scion to do anything. Sivir taken in the bot lane. That's interesting. We don't see tons of priority on Sivir for the majority of the time, and Caitlyn being up potentially going the way of Drury Esports. I actually don't mind the Sivir Caitlyn matchup for the Sivir. I feel like you can step on traps, you can tank Qs with that spell shield, so there's plenty of ways to trade, and the attack speed early on makes Sivir feel pretty nice. You aren't just tanking headshots over and over again without the ability to trade back. So not a terrible thing there. Caitlyn and Leona, though, very oppressive lane. Let's see what they round out with.
Final pick for Drury University coming in, and it is going to be the victor. So Sion is indeed in the top lane, unless Drury University really want to shake things up.
Yeah, you can do a lot with the Victor, the Sion, the Nocturne. You can still flex around quite a bit what you do, but yeah, I would say now Nocturne is essentially the jungle pick almost definitively. I don't think Sion or Victor really want to go there right now. But yeah, the flexibility of Victor and Sion between the solo lanes means it's a little bit more difficult to decide who's going to go where. Ornn taken also.
Yeah, Michigan State will pick up the Ornn, so I'm going to guess it is an Ornn top and a Heimerdinger mid. I have seen some Ornn jungle recently, but as my producer kindly reminds me that, we have a player called Dongeritis, so obviously that Heimerdinger should be going mid. But, this is how you surprise your enemies, You pick your champion for your main... Wait, hang on. I'm forgetting English for a second. You pick your player's main champion only to flex him to another lane. There we go. I got it in the end.
We saw that last game when you had Talavin. He was able to flex that to the bottom side of the map when he was playing Heimerdinger. So you could potentially take Dongeritis with this mid lane Heimerdinger, throw him into the top lane if you feel more comfortable in the matchup if Sion ends up there. So you can play some mind games with where you put this Heimerdinger. But yeah, I would assume it's Dongeritis playing this nonetheless, or at least piloting the champion.
Indeed. However, let's take a look at the kind of more of 5v5s, because after the first 3 picks we were talking about, Drury University, they've got an insane collapse potential. How are we feeling about that now?
So a lot of that collapse potential is really nice. I think Caitlyn and Victor feel kind of out of place in a composition like that, where you've got a lot of pedal to the metal. You have to have Caitlyn and Victor very close to the rest of the members of your team in order to really take advantage of the engage that Nocturne and Sion can bring in. So you might feel a little more comfortable with the laning phases with Caitlyn and Victor, but certainly not the carries I would pick with a pure dive composition. But MSU also has a really strange team fight in their own right, because they can play pretty defensively with something like Sivir or Nautilus Heimer. But then what does Olaf do during that time period? If you're getting dove by Nocturne, by Sion, is he just going to throw damage in? It kind of feels like if you're playing Zac, are you going to dive onto your own members to prevent the dive from happening? That feels, kind of counterintuitive to what you would want them to do. So Olaf might look to play more damagey, try to dive onto the Caitlyn, zone off the Victor and the Caitlyn as best they can when the dive comes through from Leona and Sion and Nocturne.
I want to kind of compound upon this from Michigan State University, because in game 1 we were looking at the Drury University lineup and we were talking... Actually, was it Drury University? No. We were talking about, again, from Michigan State University, how they had a comp. Garen Yumi, Oriana Jarvan, they wanted to run at you. This comp is the exact same thing. You've got a Sivir, you've got a Nautilus, you've got an Ola, you've got an Ornn as well. Whenever they want, they are on you in a snap. And I feel that it's more of the same, and it's really nice for Michigan State, probably playing to, how they like to play as a team.
Probably. Having that ability to decide on a team fight and then just engage on it immediately with that Sivir, that Olaf when they come in, is pretty nice. The one thing about that is Heimerdinger feels a little out of place in that composition because he likes to settle. He likes to sit in place a little more. But then, of course, he can respond to that dive from the Nocturne, from the Sion, things like that. So you've got pieces on both teams that kind of are proactive and reactive to what the other team was planning on doing. So fitting them together is kind of like trying to fit together puzzle pieces when you're blindfolded. You don't really see what the pieces, you gotta feel the edges, and sometimes you're gonna jam two together that don't fit, and that's what these compositions feel like to me a little bit. But that doesn't mean that you can't make them work as long as you're playing them properly. But again, if you've got kind of a disjointed composition, I favor the team that likes to be decisive in their calls, and to me that's MSU right now.
And going back to that Heimerdinger pick that you mentioned, the disengage potential. Again, Drury University, you've got 3 champions that want to dive on you, but who do you dive on? Because pretty much every single champion from MSU has a way out.
Yeah. You can dive on somebody like Sivir if you really want to. The spell shield only applies to one spell, so if you can find her with even 2 of these champions or even 1 CC spell, she will die most of the time. Another thing you can use this for is like Sion can engage a fight, and Nocturne can look for stragglers, or before a fight starts, look for an instant pickoff, especially if he's ahead during the course of these fights. So you could maybe not look for a pure dive composition. You could look to set up more of a team fight composition with Sion being your main engage, and Nocturne playing more of the role of an assassin, where he just waits to use that ultimate until the time's necessary.
Now,
or he can use it also. He can also use it to blind the Ornn so that the Ornn ultimate can't hit anybody, which is kind of like what you do into Jhin, which is frustrating as all hell. But I will have to see. I really want to see that at some point this game.
Now there is still time for Drury University to switch this around, but currently it's Talavin on the Victor and Baymax on the Sion in the mid lane.
Yeah, so Ornn has felt like an insanely strong top laner, even into a lot of fighters, which is surprising, but it's mostly due to the fact that Conqueror is gone, so there's no true damage, and that a lot of buffs have come through from Ornn in the last few months. Victor is one of the few champions that now feels really, really effective into some of these lower mobility, kind of less sticking power champions. Ornn can throw a lot of damage at you, and he has immediate CC, but he doesn't have tons of sticking power for what he does. So Victor feels very comfortable in the Ornn matchup, whereas a lot of fighters might feel a little less comfortable.
I do like that term, sticking power. However, final word then. Who are you going with, MSU or Drury for this?
Oh, I like I said, I in compositions like this one where it feels a little bit more disjointed and they don't all have one idea behind them, I would say the team with better decision making, which is MSU. Although I am a huge fan of Victor. Victor's one of my top 3 favorite champions, and I'd love to see Talavin pop off on it. But I got to give it to MSU in this one.
MSU are the favorites then for Rebel. Anyway, however, on that note, we're going to be taking you through some quick words from our sponsors over at Midwest Esports. Midwest Esports have been around for many years, starting as a small student group out of Wichita State University. Since then, Midwest Esports has grown to be a veteran organizer to tournaments and events throughout the US. They host tournaments for games like League of Legends, Rocket League, as well as Overwatch. For more information, check them out at midwestesports.com. On that note, we're going to be heading into a short break, and we'll be right back as Michigan State University look out to close the series 2-0. Stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we make our way onto the Rift. Just gotta check. No, Melon Popsicle, he's done it again, Rebel. I see why you like this guy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. In fairness, he's picked two champions that do have a little bit of difference in what you do with that starting item. And the way that jungle wards work right now is you want to drop your ward as fast as possible, go back to the base and switch for the red ward to start with anyway. So if you're going to go back to base, there's no reason to give away whether you're going to go for that Hunter's Machete or for the Hunter's Talisman. It's not a massive difference on Jarvan, but I think there is a big gameplay difference when it comes to somebody like Olaf.
Fair enough, as Olaf will be picking up the Hunter's Talisman anyway. Otika, pardon me, off Kurik will be picking up the Hunter's Machete. And don't forget, Michigan State 1-0 at the moment. Over on the blue side, Drury University on the red. No early game shenanigans just yet. Both junglers will be looking to start on their red buffs.
Pretty sure Drury University's on the blue side, right?
Wait. Yes, pardon me.
You said it backwards.
Yes.
It's all good. Your brain's fried. It's like 9. It's like 4 in the morning there. I understand completely. Don't worry about it.
It's only 2 in the morning.
It's only 2 in the morning. Yeah, I know it's late for you. Don't worry about it. Everybody makes mistakes at 2 in the morning, so.
I always have this fear of it happening because I've got my notes in front of me, which, I mean, Michigan on the left because game 1. And obviously when it switches around, they're no longer on the left, are they?
No, they are not.
But it is indeed going to be Baymax on the Cyan mid. Let's see if he wants to sneak out maybe some dirty lethality Cyan.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Sanguine Blade Scion to start the game would be wild, but I don't think that's going to come out. Just going to opt for probably a little more tankiness. Might even rush something like Adaptive Helm just to really piss off this Hunter here and make sure he has 0 kill potential minus his jungler in the early stage of the game.
I'm also interested to see how Baymax does into these turrets. At the moment, he's not doing too well. I mean, he got hit by the Electron Storm Grenade and all the damage comes through. But in the bot lane, Dredgeline finds his mark, and this is going to be a lot of damage onto Shallow. But Miku Lee looking to turn around, flash forward. The heal comes out. Shallow will survive, and Piltover Peacemaker gets denied by the spell shield. Double flash coming in. Miku Lee going to be able to make it ours. So I don't think Fifika had a second Dredgeline available, but a lot of sums. No, actually, all the sums used in the bottom lane.
Yeah, pretty wild fight down there. I think Pablo was about an auto attack, if that, off of killing Shallow right there. Shallow flash pretty late to make sure that he would survive that situation. But yeah, as you said, that even trade of summoners in the bottom lane isn't necessarily a bad thing. And that massive hook from Fifika earlier on in that fight was really what kind of made that happen. So look for more of those hooks to come through. If he's able to land a really nice one like that on a Shallow again, that's going to be a death sentence. And he's not playing Thresh, so.
But I'm still looking to this mid lane because, you know, despite this being a Cyan, it feels so volatile in both directions. If Baymax can land some CC, Dongeritis takes so much damage, and you got the reverse Dongeritis just with consistent poke. But here we go, Dustbringer comes in, flash away from Dongeritis as Popsicle turns up. They find first blood, but Zombie Cyan is up. They're chasing down Dongeritis. Rule 1 is cardio, and Dongeritis will be able to get ours. It's a double kill for Melon Popsicle.
Yeah, really nice for Melon Popsicle to come back and support his mid laner. Dongeritis got dangerously low right there off the back of a nice gank from Authoric to try to bail out the Scion's laning phase, but instead gets it turned on its head by this Olaf pick, who now has 2 kills to his name in the early stages. That's a terrible place to be right now. Not to mention, you know, the Heimer's been working absolutely phenomenally in the mid lane as a way to shut down Scion's ability to CS. And when he has all this mana regen that's going to come from the Lost Chapter, it's going to be near impossible to make sure that you can shut down this Heimer, or at least shut down his farming. So you're going to have to deal with a relatively powerful Heimer in the late game no matter what.
Gonna have to be dealing with a lot of turrets coming or a lot of turret poke coming through as well. But we expected that this mid lane to be explosive, and it has delivered so far. 5 minutes in, 2 kills to nothing for Michigan State University. First drake of the game is going to be a mountain, so no mountain soul. Hopefully we can get that lovely rain and a nice ocean soul.
Yeah. Now we do see Thurk is sitting on the bottom side of the map. Wouldn't shock me to see them try to aggress here, especially with the wave where it's at right now.
Oh, Dredge Line. Zenith Blade will find its mark in the Shield of Daybreak as well. Vivika nowhere to go. Miku Lee, though, is the one who picks up the kill.
Yeah, pretty nice setup right there. Good job on the bottom side of the map is Thurk finding some aggression there. The Zenith Blade just separating the two. I liked Pabble's decision, though, to just completely bail. Don't even show yourself. Not even trying to throw damage in. Just really getting out of that one. Making sure you can get back, catch this wave. Not a huge punishment. Leona picking up that kill isn't the end of the world by any means whatsoever. They do have a little bit of dragon pressure, but with Olaf and Heimer having such lane control, I think it's going to be difficult. They could look for a fight here very easily.
Here we go, the TP is getting channeled, Jupiter Jugs making his way over. Othika gets taken down off correct, pardon me, as Call of the Forge God comes in. They look for Shallow. Goodbye, Shallow, as the Michigan pick up everything. 2 kills and a Drake, and now they look towards the Baymax. No flash available. Dredge Line just shy of its mark, and it will just be that 5 kills to 1 for Michigan State.
And you can see already very plainly what it is that makes Olaf such an insane champion right now in terms of like the metagame, especially in the competitive level. His farming ability, he's at 53 farm rate and 54 jungle farm at the moment. He has 4 kills to his name because of that early pressure he was able to bring out. He was level 6 to a Thurik's level 4 for that dragon fight. He wasn't even going to be able to outsmite this Olaf if the pit was a 50-50. That is just astonishing start to the game for Melon Popsicle. On this Olaf pick, you can't give this away for free, and now Nocturne's going to be even a further hole. He doesn't have that level 6 available quickly enough to really make a massive impact on one of these solo lanes.
Topside though, Melon Popsicle looking aggressive. He's found Halavin, who has a Chaos Storm available, but he just gets deleted. And that is a 5-0 Olaf. Now, going back to what you said, Rebel, you know, I understand Melon Popsicle, he's 6 and, you know, he's going to destroy everyone, but I've got a bigger question. How did he get so far ahead?
Like I said, he was taking camps away from the Nocturne. He got those 2 kills in the mid lane, which was really, really helpful for what he was doing.
Oh, no!
Oh!
Chongaritis with the ult-empowered W picks up the kill clean as a whistle.
That is, yeah, just super heavy pressure being applied now into the mid lane. And because the Scion has had to leave his lane a few times, doesn't really have a chance to farm up as best as he can, all this magic resist isn't going to come through fast enough, and you still have to worry about the Olaf coming to your lane and just devastating you with his early game damage as well. So you're feeling in a bad place if you're Baymax right now, just not being able to push out, not being able to control your lane as well. The only real solution you might have to this problem is roaming, trying to push your lane as fast as you can in for the Heimerdinger, and then moving around, using that ultimate to try to impact, especially bot lane, since they have that early kill, have a little bit of this early pressure to apply.
As we see Othkaric making his way down to the bottom lane, but he gets spotted out, and a Boomerang blade will cancel his recall as well, as Melon Popsicle just gets a bigger and bigger advantage in the jungle.
Yeah, and it's surprising that Upsurge is not willing to just go and play the farm game. You'd think Nocturne, especially with the way that the camps had come through, he clears them really, really effectively and very, very fast with that Umbral Blade passive. Not to mention the fact that his level 6 is amazing for when he wants to gank. It's a game-changing tool, and instead of doing that, he's now come for pressure in, was it 3 lanes now he's looked for ganks in, and it's only worked the one time in his bottom side where the kill went over to Leona. So like I said, I'm kind of questioning the decision-making from Upsurge here, where he's trying to get over-aggressive on a champion. That really doesn't warrant it. The clap?
Yep.
Oh, no.
Searing charge in the top lane. Talavin will take a bit of damage as well. We saw Melon Popsicle picking up that first rift of the game just 9 minutes in. And he's going to be looking for potential dive as well, or at least to drop down Shelly. But might just look to find the pick onto Othkaric, who is now level 6. Question mark pings are coming down as well, so Drury University know that he is nearby as the Decimating Smash coming through in the mid lane. So much damage, and the Unstoppable Onslaught will not get Baymax out of that one, and that is going to be signed down.
Yes, I mean, you got to be frustrated if you're Baymax. He keeps trying to overextend to pick up some of this farm, and you're taking a little bit of chip damage by little bit of chip damage. And because of that, this Heimer is able to whittle down a pretty tanky, pretty bulky Scion. And due to that, I mean, he's just able to engage with these grenades, with the rockets that are going to come through, and these massive mini waves that he's able to push in. Now, also, turret plates going down might actually be first turret. I don't know. The Nocturne is in the area, so probably be able to deny that.
Pull of the Forge God in the top lane. It'll find its mark. As you mentioned, the clap comes in. The final auto, the final attack can't find its mark. It's a Chaos Storm comes in. Jupiter Jugs will get taken down as Miku Lee overextends. And now the on the hunt. They look for Shallow. Flash over the trap. And the autos come in. But Pavel will back out of it. Flash for a heal. Actually, Flash in a heal for a heal.
Yeah. Still nice play in the bot lane, able to pick one up for the Sivir. Feels pretty nice. The ability to push in the wave as well. But Nocturne sitting now on the bottom side of the map with this ultimate. You could look to a Rage into Fifka or Pavel because they are pushed up trying to get this blade to reset.
Oh, Dredgeline finds his mark. The Paranoia comes in and they will be able to find the Fear Ace in the hole. Pavel won't get taken down because Melon Popsicle here to save the day for the ADC.
That he is. Really nice movement there from Shallow as well to make sure that he doesn't just get blown up immediately. Has that 90 caliber net and the flash available to put him far enough away from the Nautilus to avoid any damage from the Sivir, which would have definitely killed him in that fight and turned it into a 1-for-1. So a lot of respect to him not using that tool. Already knew that Pavel had burned his, so not really afraid of that. So once again, Summoners relatively even in the bot side, but Dragon now going the way of MSU because they lost their bot lane pressure. Caitlyn had to stay way too long when she was that low.
And as mentioned, we are going to get a very nice, juicy Ocean Soul onto the Rift, as Michigan State now have an Infernal and a Mountain to their name.
Yeah, feels pretty nice. Bonus damage, bonus resistances, always a great thing. And now Ocean Drake as well, going to be helpful again. If the burst damage can't come through from the Nocturne, the Caitlyn, the Victor, they have quite a bit of burst damage themselves. But if they're able to get a lot of these, or this, regeneration that would come through from the Ocean Drake, as well as that soul that gives you basically life steal, spell vamp, that kind of thing, the fight becomes a lot harder to manage if you're not able to have this advantage to burst them out fast enough.
2k goal lead for Melon Popsicle in the jungle, and almost 2k in the mid lane as well. As we know exactly what Michigan State are looking to be playing around Dungaritis and Melon Popsicle. Absolutely huge. First turret though is still a possibility for either team, but is looking the way of Michigan State in this mid lane. Just a few hundred HP left remain.
Yeah, top lane's also in a pretty rough state as well. If Olaf wants to look up there and maybe able to aggress into the Victor. We've seen Ornn already put some damage down onto him in a pretty significant way a couple of times. So if you're able to get one more pick off up there, could definitely look to the top side for the first tower of the game.
We hit the 13-minute mark, 9 kills to 3 and a 4.5k gold advantage.
Heading bot lane.
Yeah, the Paranoia comes in and they look for the kill onto Pavel as the Fear will come in, but the depth charge on the turret, that might be big. Oh, the Kurik though will not survive. The final turret comes in, dredge line, but it won't be enough to pull Miku on the turret as it's a 2-for-1 trade in the bottom lane.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate that didn't go their way. It was still a 1-for-2, not too bad. Now actually looking for the mid lane, they have Dongaritis and
turret dive. The Ragnarok comes in. They've already killed Baymax. And, well, Olaf wasn't even needed as the first turret. It will get taken down in the mid lane.
Yeah, maybe pressured up the Scion in the laning phase to make sure they didn't continue to feed him kills, because clearly once the Olaf starts to snowball, he's really bad, and he's actually on Warrior Black Cleaver already compared to most people who haven't even finished, 1.5 items yet. But yeah, first tower now going the way of Dongaritis, and Melon Popsicle pretty nice. They're looking to shift this advantage up towards the top sides with Jupiter Jugs, and then that Rift Herald as well could break open even the bottom side of the map. So this could be a massive turnaround, and they could play the entire map for 3 straight outer turns.
Taliban has to be careful here. He's stepping up to a little bit of a death. A Brush blue buff will be getting picked up by Dongaritis. 132 CS in 14 minutes. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah. Pretty impressive, to say the least. Funny, though, he missed that ward completely. That ward was literally on his left. All he had to do was take one more step up, and he would have seen it in that brush, but doesn't spot it out, so they're going to be able to keep that one there for the side of Drury Esports. And again, Melon Popsicle, I think, is really just burning time at the moment before he opts to look towards this Rift Herald.
All of the Forge God, they look towards Talbot, who'll burn the stop. What? Is that enough? Flashes out as well. And Talbot uses everything to deny another kill going over to Melon Popsicle.
Yeah. Does have the spellbook, so it doesn't feel quite as bad to burn your flash, especially in situations like this. Bottom lane getting aggressed on by the Nocturne here.
Paranoia is available as Mikuli will just zone away the bottom lane of Michigan State. The next mini wave comes in and Michigan State can step up once again as Melon Popsicle looking to pick up the second Rift Tower. Paranoia in, the focus is on Vivica, will be able to flash out, but the fear comes in. Does he quite have the damage? No, he does not, but the Zenith Blade on the turret, that's aggressive. Miku Lee will get healed and will get saved. Flash forward! Boomerang Blade can't quite pick up the kill. Miku Lee surviving on 1 HP.
Oh, that was about as close. Oh, come on, Jupiter Jug. Anyway, yeah, really, really close engagement right there. I think perfectly played by Pavel as best he could to try to get the kill onto Miku Lee multiple times. I mean, he had to burn flash, they had to burn heal to make sure that last Q, he had to get out of the way of just barely to make sure that they're able to deny that away. So Pavel almost turning that one on its head, making it a 1-for-1 in a 1v3 scenario. Super good. And then Jupiter Jug just taping down there, making sure they can't snowball that into a tower off the back of Olaf's Rift Herald. So now you've got a massive advantage. You gave up one kill for the Rift Herald, potentially dragon pressure here as well on the bottom side of the map.
Third Drake of the game on the cards for Michigan State. However, we did see something like this in game one. It is similar with the exception of the fact that, well, Michigan State actually have kills, whereas in game one, it was just a gold advantage and objective advantage for Drury University. And now the third Drake of the game has been started up as here comes the choo-choo train. They look for the Olaf, but the Ragnarok is there. Solar Flare will land onto the Nautilus as Dongeritis is on a rampage. It's a 1-for-1 so far, and that's the Electron Storm Grenade finding the double kill for Dongeritis. Baymax is super low. Decimating Smash will come through, finds the knock-up, but everyone is so low. Pavel finds one. Baymax has been taken down. Shallow, though, on a killing spree, finding the kill onto Pavel. Call of the Forge God comes in. They look for Shallow, who flashes out, looking to find the guy. Ace in the hole, but he's going to get taken down first, as that is going to be the ace coming in for Michigan State. And I believe they found the ace for 2 as Michigan pick up the Ocean Drake as well.
And again, with the composition you've got designed where you have something like the Nocturne, the Scion, you want your engagement to stick really, really easily, really, really quickly to make sure you can win a fight fast. Otherwise, you're usually going to lose because those cooldowns you got don't help very much in terms of what happens in the longevity of a fight, especially just as a Heimerdinger. You saw the opposite. You saw Heimerdinger extend this fight in multiple times, dodging skill shots as best he can, throwing down all the damage he absolutely needed, and able to get constant rockets, constant turret shots onto all of these members to be able to clean up the fight afterwards. Pavel looked a little boosted towards the end of that fight, flashing on top of a tank and trying to get the damage out, but certainly his sacrifice was necessary, getting that drag, getting those 5 kills, and a massive gold advantage now secured for MSU.
Yeah, if it wasn't big enough before, it is big now. 7.5k gold advantage for Michigan State. 8 kills up. We're not at even 20 minutes in yet, Rebel. We will be having a Baron as Paranoia comes in. Has a Melon step too far forward? The answer is yes, he has, but he almost finds an outplay in a 1v3 to take down Arthur Kurik. But Oscarik will just about survive as, oh no, Electron Storm Grenade finds some damage, but not quite enough as the Micro Rocket misses its mark. Dongeritis takes a lot of damage from the turret, will be forced to back off as, oh no. You talked about potentially being slightly boosted for a second, but bit of a misplay from Baymax coming in as now Jupiter Jugs. He looks for Talavin, who's getting caught out. Now Mikuli turns up, Solar Flare well aside a step. And now the turnaround damage, Miku Lee gets taken down. So much damage on the Dinga Dongas. And now they're looking for Pavel in the bot lane. But that's so much damage. Oskuriki finds the fear and he will find the kill as Shallow gets taken down in the top side river. kills all across the board. I couldn't even keep up with what's going on here, Rebel. But stuff has happened. It's still a 7k goal lead for Michigan State, so not much has really changed. And with Baron up in 10 seconds, MSU could potentially look for this one.
Yeah, especially with the Heimerdinger being so far ahead as much as he is with that Leandries and the Luden's already done. Take a look back at what happened, that topside fight going very, very heavily in the way of MSU because they just have a lot of consistent damage. They have a lot of CC available with the Ornn, and the contributions from the Heimerdinger were really, really good in that one. Shockingly to me, actually, towards the end of that, Sivir tried to spell shield the Fear coming out from Nocturne, but she tried to spell shield the second half of it. I didn't know that it actually didn't apply to denying that Fear, so that was why she died. I think that was a little shocking to Habel as well, but certainly definitely worthwhile, able to secure this Baron, plenty of kills going their way, and certainly that bottom outer tower on the menu for the Sivir whenever she feels like it.
Rebel.
Yeah.
MSU just picked up Baron in 17 seconds with only 3 members.
Heimerdinger has 3 turrets, so they actually have about 8 members on their team.
That's cheating. That's cheating.
Yeah.
But that does make sense. And a 708 Heimerdinger Dongers at that as well.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, Rebel, but I feel that Michigan might have this one here. Unstoppable Onslaught comes through, but no way for Drury to really collapse on that pick there.
Yeah. This feels pretty well for the side of MSU right now with this massive Heimerdinger. It's really impossible to fight into him with all these tools around him to deny this. And even the Ornn, to me, feels really untouchable at the moment in terms of what he brings in tankiness and whatnot. Just being able to be this massive side lane pressure. Oh, thank you, Bonsai.
Paranoia coming through. They are going to be able to find the Fear bait. Is it enough? Jupiter Jugs is so tanky. Call of the Forge God comes in, and now Jupiter turns it around. Goodbye, Othkuric. He thought Victor was going to help him. Because Talavin, he says, you're on your own there. I want no part of this. I've had to lane against this guy for ages. But that's not going to save you now because Ornn is coming under turret. The Chaos Soul will come through, and Jupiter Jugs as well. I'll let you survive for now as the rest of Michigan State pushing in the top lane. They're looking for the inhibitor turret. They're looking for the inhibitor turret in the mid lane as well. Zenith Blade finds its mark, but that might not be the best of Zenith Blades. Miku Lee takes a lot of damage from the ricochets. As a flash forward, they find another engage. Vifika will get taken down. It's a 1-for-1. Flash away, but the flash comes in. Pavel finds another. Ragnarok flash away from Shallow. The flashes are in a force. But so much damage, Melon Popsicle will get taken down, and now the focus on the inhibitor. Oh, wow. Dongerite is legendary, finding the kill on Othkuric. He had only just respawned. Second inhibitor gets taken down. MSU could potentially look for an end here, but I think they're just going to rotate to the bottom lane and look to pick up the final inhibitor. Actually, no, they're going to go for the Ocean Soul.
Yeah, Ocean Soul, super valuable at this point in the game. You see, they're starting to play really, really heavily. They've swapped from the Olaf being the primary source of damage and being this kind of influencer in a lot of team fights to playing with Vifika and Olaf and Jupiter Jugs as this front line and utilizing the damage coming out from the Heimerdinger, the Sivir that has really started to come out in best as possible. You see that front line really doing a good job peeling for these members, allowing them to walk forward and do the damage they need to do. Also, I just want to note this really, really quickly. 260 armor completed on the Ornn at the time. 9 armor was being neglected, or my apologies, negated by the lethality that's currently on the Sanguine Blade. He was doing about 60 damage in auto attack to this Ornn. I think he hit him with like 11 or 12 auto attacks and didn't even chip him down that far.
Oh, wow. Jupiter Jugs is tanky. And now he's got a Bramble Vest as well. That Thornmail's going to be coming through. You thought auto attacks did nothing against him. Well,
now they
just
do.
Wait about 2 minutes.
I'm curious to see, actually, 10% of your bonus armor. Oh, like, Ornn has to have a ridiculous amount of bonus armor right now. I gotta check that. 266, 10% is 26. He's doing about 56 damage in response to people who are auto-attacking him. There's a slim chance that this Nocturne might actually do more damage to himself than he does to Ornn.
Oh, the Kirito effect, as I like to call it. But they say never do maths on stream, but Rebel with a quick math coming out. As oh no, apparently Drury University want to try this one again, but it's not going very well. Good night, Leona. The paranoia comes in. They are looking for the Sivir, but Call of the Forge God come through. Othkurik will get clapped, and Othkurik will get taken down. The Chaos Storm does barely anything. 2 kills for nothing. The TP is getting channeled. It's not even needed. But MSU want to end this in a style. They look towards the Nexus turrets. Only 3 members of Drury left to defend. And that might be decreasing very soon as the choo-choo train rides one final time. Nexus turret number 1 will get taken down. Shallow very low. Dredgeline finds its mark as the boomerangs come out. Baymax is down. And now MSU, they can look for the final Nexus turret. Zenith Blade comes in, but there comes the Electron Grenade. It finds another kill. So much damage. Micro Rockets in, and it's just the Nexus remaining. MSU will pick it up, and they'll take the clean sweep and make their way to the UML Division 1 semi-final.
Yeah, it was really, really clean from the side of MSU in this game. It felt like they dominated early with Melon Popsicle on the super high impact early game jungler with the Olaf. And then after that, they were able to make this happen so many times. I think really epitomized by that last fight with the Ornn ultimate being used on the Nocturne when it dove on the Sivir. They peeled for their carries, or at least bought the space necessary for Pablo and Dongeritis, or even Melon Popsicle in the right situations, to walk forward and get the damage off that they needed to win fights. And, Upsurge did his best. Baymax did his best to try to find these engages, to try to find these dives onto the carries, but it never panned out, not one time during the course of the game. So again, it came down to execution for Drury Esports in this one, and they picked a difficult to play composition, and it did not work for them.
Yeah, twice in a row, difficult to play compositions, and in game 1 they had the advantage, but they couldn't make it work. Game 2 though, all in favor of MSU. As just check out that damage from the Heimerdingers. It's just nutty.
I feel like every fight I was just watching everything happen around a Heimerdinger. I feel like nobody at any point was like, "Oh, let's fight the Heimerdinger." They're like, "Oh, let's fight this guy. Let's fight this guy." And Heimer's just like there with like 4 turrets, just throwing spells, throwing whatever he wants, just sitting there like, "Hey guys, I'm doing damage too."
Yeah, I also feel, Drury had no real way of clearing through those Heimerdinger turrets,
hmm
or at least, well, not for Sion anyway in the laning phase, and later on, Heimerdinger was just way too fed. There was something else I wanted to mention. Oh yes, Dongeritis, Flame Horizon on Baymax, 231 to 126, and almost double that. Wow, just
Unreal.
yeah,
What do
absolutely
you,
unreal.
Yeah, I think it was our producer who said I think he's third right now in Heimerdingers in North America, something like that. Like this is 13th. My apologies. That is a correction from him. Thank you, stats team, for that. But yeah, 13th in the NA. You saw the reason why he was so good at this Heimerdinger.
I think he might have just gone up to top 10.
Top 10. This wasn't ranked. Unfortunately, it doesn't
Yeah.
count.
Yeah, it's a top 10 competitive Heimerdingers. There we go.
There
We
we
find
go.
a way. We find a way. So I guess advice for whoever's going to be taking on MSU and decides to watch these VODs just to get a bit of scouting in. Ban Olaf and Heimerdinger, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they made it work in game 1 too, by playing a little bit more of a team fight composition. It feels like Dongeritis is a big portion of what happens when this team does succeed. He was on the Ori in game 1. That was a lot of impact. Jupiter Jugs also feels really good in the top lane. It felt like, he wasn't on the most impactful champions, but certainly felt his presence in both games.
On that note, though, any final words, Rebel?
I'm good. It was a fantastic series, really entertaining to watch. Game 1 was it was honestly one of the cleaner games I've seen from a team being able to scale like this. So yeah, coming back to watch this team, I'm definitely going to come back and watch them when they come into the semifinals next week.
I just remembered. I don't think we need to do this, but MVP?
MVP Dongeritis, amazing.
Yeah. GG
Absolutely.
Dongeritis. You get my MVP as well, as I'm sure you get the MVP vote of pretty much everyone watching the series. However, that is all that we have time for here at the Upsurge Minor League Division 1 quarterfinals. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a good night, and Milky Fox out.